Hello and welcome to Aquarium Dilemmas. I'm your host, Science Gal Aquatics. I'm Carrie, and this is my co-host,
Jesse, and welcome.
Yes, welcome to this week's episode. Last week we went over signs to look for water changes, and this week we're going to go through our actual water change procedure, our steps that we go through. It shouldn't be that long of a conversation, but I think it's worth going over.
I think it'll be more about the evolution.
Yeah, I started
the evolution of the water change.
Of our water change.
Yeah. Well, and I'm going to say it comes down to convenience, time, money, and mostly when you get tired of doing it the old way and you're like, there's got to be a better way.
Yeah, and I think it's just like everything else in the hobby. You're going to learn what works for you for your tank or your tanks. You're going to get on your routine and what works for you. But over the years of keeping fish, I have definitely come a long way on how I do these water changes. You have been a help with explaining, like, the mechanics of things that can help me out, because I didn't know what to look for at the hardware store. But there are some helpful tools at the hardware store and that you can get. Some of them might be a little bit more expensive, but some of them are pretty cheap. So, yeah. But going way back yonder.
Well, I mean, I won't go way back to when you were a kid, but
it was the same way. It was the same way.
I'll go back to when you were doing your project. And Captain 2.5 gallon bucket and literal gallon water jugs.
Yeah. I would still use the aquarium siphon, the aquarium vac to get the water out. But even with that, I mean, it sounds gross and I'm sorry, but you suck at the bottom of it and get it started. There are ways that you can start the siphon without just sucking on the bottom of it. There's like all kinds of like little, I don't know what they're called actually now that I'm talking about it, but it's like a little squeezy thing, like the end of a little baby nose sucker. I don't know what they're called, but they never worked for me all that well to get it started. But, and
it's
then
just a primer bulb.
Yeah,
that's all it is. They put it in the middle of the tube. They use them on everything. They're on boat motors where you hook up your gas line.
And maybe I got one that was just kind of not, but I just never got it to work right. And there's techniques where you can turn the siphon sideways and kind of get it started. But even with that, you'll figure out how to start it the way you want to start it. But that's how I've always got the water out of the aquarium. Putting it back in, I would use a gallon drinking water thing and jug and refill it and put the water back in it one at a time. Back when I found YouTube, I would put on my favorite streamers and I'd listen to fish chats all day. It was like my Sunday fun day and I'd spend all day water changing. It wasn't an all day process when I was growing up and we just had the one. And maybe that's where it came from. That was the way I was shown. So that's the way I'm a creature of habit. You can talk to Jesse. If I figure out a way to do something, I will do it that way forever. Unless someone strongly suggests something else.
And then probably still won't even take that idea. You'd be like, no, I like doing it my way.
And that goes through my whole life. My favorite gas station, I will go out of my way to go to that gas station. I feel comfortable there. I can chit chat with the employees. My coffee spot's the same. My grocery store's the same. I will go out of my way to go to that same spot. So my daily routine a lot of the time is the same, and that's including water changes. And like we've said a million times, if you've listened to any of these episodes or you've listened to the YouTube channel, you know this story well, because we talk about it. It's probably one of the things we talk about the most. But looking back on it, I guess I just find it kind of ridiculous that I spent that much time just going back and forth, just bloop, bloop, bloop. But I would spend, it was kind of fun though in an aspect too, because I would spend so much time staring at each tank individually, because I would spend, like, a 10-gallon didn't take me very long, but when we got that 55-gallon, and that was the largest tank that I had, and I thought that 55-gallon was the biggest aquarium of my life. And now we have a 75-gallon and 180-gallon, and they are far bigger.
Caveat to that, we have multiples.
Yes, but there's something about that first, I don't know, in my head, there's just something different between a 40-gallon breeder and a 30-gallon bow front, the 10 gallons, the 20. To me, those are more the smaller tanks. But when I got that first 55-gallon, I just thought my whole life opened up when it came to fish keeping. And that was the first one that it did take quite a bit of time. If you took 50%, 30% water out of that tank to fill it up 1 gallon at a time, it took some time. So yes, we have definitely evolved. But I guess kind of going back to the steps, that's the first thing I do is
aquarium vac.
Yep. And sometimes I will do it heavy-handed, and I will really get in there and it really depends on what I'm keeping and what I'm trying to do with that tank. Sometimes with the guppies, when I'm really trying to breed them, I like a little bit of stuff in the tank, a little bit of algae, a little bit of detritus. Like, I feel like it helps. But there's some tanks I like a little cleaner, especially like the discus tank. I like a little cleaner. So I do get in there a little bit more heavy-handed with the aquarium vac. And there are times I'll just stick it in there, drain a little bit of water out, and I won't take anything out of the substrate. Well, so it's really,
I think that really matters on, like, this is, and if I've said it once, I've said it 100 times. Mm-hmm. There's no right or wrong way, but this really matters because of so many variables. How heavy the tank is planted, what kind of fish you got in it, of whether you're going to go heavy-handed, whether it's a bare-bottom tank. Well, I mean, whether you're going to go heavy-handed or not.
Well, even how long it's been. I know sometimes with my driftwood tanks, the tanks that I have driftwood, with the Peleco that I have in there, it gnaws on it a lot. And it's not so much fish poop in there, but it's just a lot of wood dust. And it gets the tank a little dirty when they shuffle around and their tail kind of stirs it. And it does kind of clog the filters, not every single time, but it does clog the filters up, when it does it over time. And some tanks I go a little longer in between water changes. On average, I still stick to like once every 2 weeks, but some tanks over time do need it more often than others. And depending on the fish I have in the fish room at the time and my purpose behind why I'm keeping them. But the first big step on water changing is getting the water out. And your favorite tool is going to be a 5-gallon bucket.
5-gallon bucket and a siphon. And since I'm from the Midwest, when you showed me how to do it, I figured, and I've looked now, and there is a bunch of different ways to start a siphon.
There's proper ways. You don't have to do it our way, but I'm lazy.
But I'm from the Midwest, so I'm from the Midwest, and I'm a redneck. So I've siphoned gas out of a car before. So, I mean, there's only one way to get it out.
Yeah. Well,
for that.
Yeah, and I've gotten good. I don't get fish water in my mouth anymore. Maybe I'm not going to say anymore. Occasionally I will, but I will tell you the chuckles I've had trying to explain to Jesse how to start a siphon, whatever way he wants to start it. And he will get a mouthful of fish water every time. And I'm like, you don't have to do it quite like that. But if you want to test, I guess, your relationship and get a good chuckle out of it, let him get a good mouthful of fish water and be like, okay. I don't know.
Like I said,
you do it almost every time, and at this point, I just have to laugh. It's been 11 years.
At this point, I think I think it's just good for my immune system.
Yeah, probably for you, for sure. But yeah, you're gonna want to get your aquarium vac, your 5-gallon bucket. If you're a fish keeper, never say no to a good 5-gallon bucket. Just don't do it. It's your best friend. I have an embarrassing amount, and I still will accept more 5-gallon buckets and a 3-gallon bucket and a 1-gallon bucket.
If it's a bucket or a container, you will
If it's an oversized bucket, you can use it for summer breeding projects outside if weather permits in your area. Just don't say no to a good bucket. But yeah, drain your water. And then after my water's drained to whatever level you want to drain it to for that tank is when I'll start kind of cleaning up things. I'll scrape the glass. Typically is my next thing first is I'll get all the glass cleaned. And I have a favorite it's a razor blade with a handle, but you'll find that you'll have your favorite little tools. And I have bought, I don't know, 10 different types of razor blade handles to clean the glass. And I have one that I have fell in love with. I think I got it at Harbor Freight, but a good razor blade handle. You can use like an old credit card, a hotel key. You can use whatever you want to scrape the glass. I know they have those magnet things. They always fall off for me. I guess I just am too aggressive with it. I don't know. So then I spend more time picking up the magnet. But to put those on, they do work for like spot cleaning. But if you have a lot of algae on your glass, I'll drain the water. Then I'll clean the algae that's on the glass, that's where the water's drained out, and just put it on a paper towel or a towel and wash it. And then I will move on to if there's something in the tank like driftwood, rocks, plants, I have a favorite little toothbrush I'll use for rocks and driftwood to kind of lightly scrape that. And then I'll use just my thumb to kind of lightly roll the algae off the plant so I'm not breaking anything. But that's what I move on to next after I drain the water.
Oh yeah, that's the main key is just getting that algae. And for our case, we and for what we keep, it's good, but at the same time, it's a problem. Is hard water.
Yeah, I don't have to do this every single time I water change, but after a handful, whatever the water touches will get built up. And I have learned that if I don't know, this might sound goofy,
we have
but
liquid rock water.
It works so well. My goldfish tank, it's a 75-gallon tank, and it's really the worst one with hard water buildup on the rim. I assume it's the filter I have on it. There's just a lot of splashing. It doesn't get on the wall or the stand, but it just splashes on the rim. And I have found that if I take a razor blade and I will just lightly scrape that, but I take my shop vac and I follow my razor blade clipping, the shop vac will get all the dust
before it goes in the tank. So you don't have a bunch of calcium just falling in the tank?
Yes. One hand is scraping that black rim part. This one's brown, but usually they're black, where that calcium is just really thick, and it does it so quickly. But I will do that. I will scrape that and then follow it with the shop vac and then wipe it up with a napkin or something. And at this point, too, sometimes I don't mind snails in my tank at all, but during this period, this era of my life, I'm trying not to accumulate so many. So this too is when I will get rid of any snails that I don't want in the tank while the water's drained, whatever's on the glass that I don't want. I have this really small shrimp net that I got from one of the Aquashellas years ago. And it's a little bitty round shrimp net with an extendable handle. And I do use it for shrimp. But it is such a good snail collector. I will just run it up from the bottom up towards the top, and all the snails will just drop right into it. And then I will either feed them or get rid of them, whatever I need to do. And that's how I do the snail thing. So I don't mind them, but right now I'm just trying not to get as many of them, if that makes sense.
Well, if you have more than one aquarium, chances are you eventually will have a snail problem.
Yeah, they come in on so many different things. But I have some tanks that they're just heavier. They're just thicker in that tank than other tanks. And some of them are like little pond, regular little snails, and some of them are like assassin snails in another tank. It's just odd what accumulates like that over time. Like, why is this one? And I do typically try to feed about the same in each tank, but it's just funny. And then I have a few that right now I don't, every once in a while, they are in there, but they're just every once in a while type thing. But so far I've drained the water, cleaned the glass, kind of went over the rocks, the driftwood, the plants, whatever's in there that's got a little algae on it. And then at this point, if I need to, also, this is something I do, but I don't necessarily have to do it on every single water change. It's some fish have more bioload. So on my goldfish tank, I would definitely have to do this more often than like my little guppy tank. But if I need to, if my media and my filter is just overly disgusting, like it's never spotless, and I don't want it to be. That's not good at all. But you know how it's got that just black sludge in it over time. It's just, it builds up faster with some fish that have a really heavy bioload. So I will, at this time, whatever's in my bucket that I've drained out of my fish tank, I'll just rinse that media in that previously drained water and put it back. I won't take it and rinse it in the sink or anything.
Well, you're essentially just washing off the sludge. You're still keeping all the good beneficial bacteria. You're just washing off the sludge, the crud, the stuff that is in the filter that you don't want in the filter that will potentially and eventually, actually, I know for a fact, will eventually clog it up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And during this time, too, I will prep my water. Sometimes I will honestly do it at the beginning when I'm feeling really responsible that day. Sometimes I'll do it after I drain the water out of the tank. I'll go over there because I remember, oh, I need to get the water. But I have a 55-gallon trash can that's underneath a washer and dryer, like spigot in our basement.
Yeah, an old washer and dryer hookup. Or old wash machine hookup, I should say.
So instead of having washer and dryer there, I have fish tanks and a 55-gallon trash can. And that's where I will put my clean water. I like to use Prime as my water conditioner, so I'll get that all set up. And sometimes I will get it too hot, and it'll give it time to cool off. And before I found Prime, I don't remember what I used. It was probably some kind of Tetra product. Because before we had PetSmart here, we just had a Walmart. And I'm sure I used something. But there for a long time, I would just let the water, I'd fill up a bunch of drinking water tubs again with no lid and let them kind of gas off. But now I just fill up this 55-gallon trash can and let it gas off. But I also use Prime too. But when I say gas off, it's like 15 minutes. So I'll let it sit there while I finish my water change, if that made any sense. I'm trying to remember and talk at the same time.
Well, and I know a lot of people, we've never used it, but I know a lot of people use Pythons.
Yeah, there's all kinds of tools out there. This is just what I don't know. I bet we could have a Python down here instead of this setup that we have. But I kind of like what we have. But Pythons, we do have a lot of friends that use them, and they seem to work really well. I just have never personally tried it. So,
well, that's also like an automated system. We have never got there either.
Yeah, I don't know if I ever will either. I like water changing. I do like that it has sped up over the years, but I don't know if I'd ever go. I don't know if I trust myself to set it up either.
I trust myself to set it up, but I just feel like it's only for top-offs.
Yeah. Which I don't really do them either so much. But yeah, and I would have a collection of these drinking tubs in our dining room. I think we had like 10 or 15 of them. And I'd fill them up and let them just sit there overnight. And then it didn't fill up the whole tank on a bigger tank, obviously. Then I would just kind of fill them up one by one and let them sit there as I dumped them in. But I'm trying to think. But now, yeah, we have this 55-gallon trash can with a pump that we got at Lowe's. and a garden hose. And he has some kind of, he'll tell you, I don't remember the name of it, but some kind of fancy gadget on the end that I can adjust the water flow. So that's how we get the water back in it. But is there anything you can think of that you want to add?
No? Not for the water change. I do not.
Yeah, so we've drained the water, cleaned the glass, kind of gone over the rocks and the plants, rinsed my substrate.
Oh, always remember to unplug your filter if you're going to change your water below that level.
Yeah.
If it's going to be around where the pickup is, just do yourself a favor and please unplug your filter.
Yeah. And if you use a heater, you'll want to unplug the heater. We have a few heaters in the tanks right now, but not in all the tanks. But so yeah, unplug your heater, your filter, drain your tank, clean your substrate, go over plants and rocks, your driftwood if there's any excess algae. If you want to pick your snails out, go ahead. And then I kind of go over, honestly, I will kind of go over the glass one more time. I'll go over the inside with just a paper towel or like a dish towel if it's around. But on the outside, I'll use a little bit of my aquarium safe glass cleaner. It does make a difference to clean up the drip marks. I used to not really give it any thought, but it does make a huge difference on the viewing of things when you clean up all those water spots. It does make it look a little nicer.
Well, you're also known with this many tanks to get a little bit violent when it comes to water everywhere.
Yeah. Sometimes I do make a mess.
That's what I mean. There'll be a drop, and I'm not talking big, but I'm talking like there'll be a $50 size drop of water on the floor here. There'll be a quarter size or a nickel size drop on a tank over there. You never know where it's going to be. When she's moving along with this many tanks and she's having fun, water doesn't always stay in the tank.
It doesn't matter if you have this many tanks or one tank. I have the same habit. When I'm done with my siphon, I throw it on the floor. And whatever water's left in the siphon, it's going to go in the floor. So that's what I do. And then with the paper towels or my dish towels, I have our old raggedy towels that get retired from our like family bathroom upstairs, or that everybody uses. The old raggedy ones that get holes in them, they come and they get retired to the fish room. So if I have any of those towels, I'll clean things up. But if you're like me, you're on a roll, you're cleaning, you're doing your thing, you're listening to your music or your podcast, and it's just when you're done with things, sometimes they just get thrown in the floor and cleaned up later.
Exactly.
But yeah, when I'm all said and done and I like how things look, I will refill things up and sit back and enjoy it. But I guess there's a few tools along the way. Like I will use, like I said earlier, an old toothbrush to clean up algae on rocks and driftwood. Clamps are a really good tool during water changes. Like I said before, we use this garden hose. I have a garden hose for my clean water and then a garden hose that's connected to another pump outside that we dump our old water into. And we use a lot of clamps to hook onto the tank so the water hose don't fall off and go everywhere. What else? 5-gallon buckets. Like I said numerous times, I will shout it. 5-gallon.
Shout it from the heavens.
Buckets are your friend. I do use aquascaping tools to aquascape, but I use aquascaping tongs more so to remove algae. And if you have a clump of like hair algae or something, if you have those long aquascaping tongs, you can kind of put it straight down and do like the spinny move and just twirl it up and get rid of it. It's a little easier to get rid of that way if you have a clump of algae that you're dealing with. Sponge filters. If you have sponge filters versus we have a lot more hang on the backs with the media, but we do have a couple sponge filters. I will occasionally, just like the other media, it's not every water change. It's just whenever things slow down, feel like it's a little clogged, I'll take them out and squeeze them out in the removed water and then put them back in for during the water change. I'm just trying to think, is there anything else?
You wouldn't believe how much you can squeeze out of a sponge filter.
Yeah, they get clogged up quite. I know there's some that probably work better than others, but the ones in the fish room now, we have kind of an array of. I've never really stuck with the same brand so we have a bunch of different ones, but they do work well. I do enjoy them, but some of them do get clogged up a little bit more than others. But yeah, water changing, it's not a hard process. It's just something that you're going to have to learn to love if you want to keep fish. And it's not a daunting process. It's not a hard process by any means. I feel like some people get overwhelmed. I have heard through conversations with people in the past that they sometimes scoop out all of their fish, and like, I was guilty of it in the beginning. I really over cleaned my tank, but I don't take out any fish, even when maybe if I'm doing 100% water change, but at that point I'm probably breaking down the tank. But if I'm doing a 75% water change, I don't necessarily scoop out any fish on purpose. I'll just drain the water and then refill it when I'm done cleaning things up. But I have heard that some people, they will take all their fish out and just scalp it clean. You don't necessarily have to go that far, and I would not recommend any scenario where that's necessarily okay. You're going to do more damage than good. But I am guilty in the beginning of keeping fish. I would take the big decorations out and over clean things, and I would just crash my tank. So I try to keep it on a routine for me that I like, and you'll find something that works well for you and your favorite tools, but definitely buckets, clamps, a siphon. If you want to use some long aquascaping tools to remove algae, that's great, and a razor blade. I know some people do like more of a credit card, a room key, but I do like to use a razor blade. I'm just extremely careful because you can scratch the glass and you don't want to do that.
Well, and obviously if you're dealing with a different type of material like acrylic, you would not be using a razor blade at all.
Yeah, we just don't have any. Right now, everything we have is glass. So,
yeah. But
this is definitely how I do things and how I enjoy doing things. But if you have any secrets, any helpful tools, I like gadgets. So if you have anything new that you're like, hey, this is the best thing, please let me know. Yeah. Leave me a comment and let me know what it is so I can try it too. This has helped my life
so much. It's better than sliced bread.
Yeah, and the best thing I can ever do for myself to help me with water changing is when I do remember to turn off my aquarium lights. So that's helpful.
Well, I guess that does go with your water change. Yeah, she remembers to turn the lights off when she goes to do a water change.
I recommend getting a timer. I've done that recently, and I say recently, like a year ago or so, and it has definitely helped me out. But this is I think it's a pretty simple guide to how we do water changes and the steps we go through on draining, cleaning, and refilling. So definitely leave us a comment. I appreciate your being here and listening to this episode, and let me know your favorite tools or any cool gadgets.
Oh yeah, I'm always into tools and gadgets.
In the next one, I think I'm going to make Jesse give away all his secrets on how we maintain our equipment. So we look forward to the next one. And if you want to go check out sciencegalaquatics.com and go get a plushie, support the podcast and get you something cute for your fish tank to go on top of it.
Yeah, or your fish room, a decoration.
But we will see you in the next one, and thanks for listening, and talk soon. Bye.
Bye.